Welcome to our channel. Today we're excited to bring you the recap of Tune In for Love, a powerful and heartwarming movie. The setting is in the 1990s and reflects on the IMF crisis of 1997. Mi-soo, a hardworking part-time worker at a bakery, indirectly exchanges stories with Hyun-woo on a radio program. Both fall in love and continue to cross paths, but timing is not in their favor. In 1994, Hyun-woo, who has been newly released from prison, applies as a part-timer at Mi-soo's bakery. He gets the job, and he and Mi-soo begin to work together. Hyun-woo, Mi-soo, and Yoon-ja spend a lot of time together and opening up to each other. Around Christmas, construction for new apartment buildings begins in their neighborhood, and old friends of Hyun-woo find him and stop by. Their presence disrupts the quiet peace of the bakery, and eventually, Yoon-ja asks them to leave. Hyun-woo is about to leave with them and asks Yoon-ja if he can get his pay in advance. Mi-soo and Yoon-ja wonder if he'll ever come back. Later that night, Hyun-woo and his friends are eating at a soju bar and have a solemn moment to remember their friend Jaeyoung Hyeop, who passed away. One of Hyun-woo's friends gets angry and picks a fight with a stranger, ending up with all of them in a fight. Mi-soo waits in the bakery for Hyun-woo to return, but he never does. In 1997, the bakery has closed. Mi-soo meets with a college counselor and confides she didn't get a job at any of the big companies. He tells her she has two options: a temporary gig working for a popular radio show or a stable job at editor company. She decides the latter. She visits Yoon-ja, who is now working at a noodle shop, and shares the good news with her. Meanwhile, Hyun-woo is working as a furniture mover. After his shift, his coworker asks if Hyun-woo can escort his elderly mother home, and Hyun-woo obliges. As he is escorting the old woman home, Mi-soo stops by the old bakery. Hyun-woo notices Mi-soo and tells her to wait for him there. She agrees, and Hyun-woo returns, both engaging in small talk. The two reconnect, and Mi-soo asks if he wants to visit Yoon-ja's noodle shop the next day. Hyun-woo tells her about his military service, which begins tomorrow, and offers to walk her home. When they arrive at Mi-soo's apartment, the two spend time together in her apartment, and eventually, Hyun-woo stays the night. Mi-soo admits on the day he left. She waited for him to return, and Hyun-woo tells her that he wanted to return, but his probation was revoked due to the bar fight. In the morning, Mi-soo wakes up before him and signs him up for an email account. She gives it to him as he departs and tells him to keep in contact with her this way. The two share a brief and awkward kiss before heading off in their separate direction. Later that night, Mi-soo realizes that she forgot to give him the password to the email, which was her code to the apartment. In 2000, the bakery has been turned into a real estate agency office, and the new apartment complexes have been built. Mi-soo is miserable at her newsletter editing job, where the machinery is loud and she frequently works overtime. She continued sending emails to Hyun-woo, even though he can't open his email. Hyun-woo was just released from military service and tries to find Mi-soo, only to find out that she has moved. He decides to move into her old apartment, and as he is signing the lease, he sees her old apartment code and finally gets into his email account. Mi-soo is overjoyed to find she has a way to contact him and asks for his number, so she can call him the next day. The next day, she calls him and schedules a meetup. However, an angry mob storms Hyun-woo's job, breaking his phone. Mi-soo tries to call him many times but is unable to. Later, Mi-soo emails him to say that it was a good thing that they didn't meet, since she isn't in the mood to catch up and act happy. She hates herself and admits that the only that has made her happy these days was Hyun-woo figuring out the password. She tells him to get in touch with her when something good happens. 5 years later, Mi-soo is now happy at her new book publishing job. Her boss takes her to a bookshop, where she finds out that the new book she published is a top seller, and they rejoice together. Meanwhile, Hyun-woo now works at a video editing startup that is moving in above where she works. The two reconnect yet again, and Hyun-woo brings her to his apartment. Surprised, Mi-soo looks around before finally telling him that she is happy to see him. They start dating, and Mi-soo takes 3 days off work to spend time with Hyun-woo. One night, Hyun-woo asks if she's still scared of her, since she used to be when they were younger. She shakes her head. The two kiss and passionately make love. Later, they visit Yoon-ja, who has gotten married and has a stepdaughter that causes her trouble. As Yoon-ja and Hyun-woo are reconnecting, a student calls for Yoon-ja, telling her daughter is about to get beaten up. Yoon-ja and Hyun-woo go, finding Misu apprehending Yoonja's daughter for smoking cigarettes. Misu asks why she lets her daughter treat her badly and cause so much trouble. Yoonja calms her down and serves Misu and Hyunwoo food. As they leave Yoonja, Misu comments that Yoonja could probably tell that they were dating. The two continue to spend time together. At his work, Hyunwoo has a picture of Misu that he took. Misu also recommends Hyunwoo as a video editor for Yoo Yeol's new visual radio show. Meanwhile, Misu's boss tells her that he will get her to fall for him. One day, Hyunwoo goes to return comic books and his old friends find him. It turns out that it's the 10th anniversary of Jeong Hyop's death, for which Hyeon-oh was blamed and imprisoned for. They were playing around on the rooftop as children and Jeong Hyop fell down, so Hyunwoo was suspected of pushing him off. The group drives to Jeong Hyop's old house where they deliver money to his sister. His sister tells them to leave and Hyeon-oh tries to tell her that he is innocent, but she ignores him. Hyunwoo leaves his phone in his friend's car when he returns home and Misu calls, only to hear that one of his friends has it. She meets with Hyunwoo's old friend to pick up the phone and learns about Hyunwoo's past. Without Hyunwoo's knowledge, Misu goes to visit Jeong Hyop's house, but his family has moved. Later that night, Misu tells Hyunwoo what she learned and asks if everything will be okay now. Hyunwoo is devastated, as he prayed that Misu would never find out, so he could try to live a normal, peaceful life without his past haunting him. Misu tells him that he never told her, and that she was tired of seeing him so anxious. She begs him not to leave, but he goes off. He finds his friend that told her about Jeong Hyop. The two beat each other up, and Hyunwoo visits Yoonja's noodle shop. He returns home to find Misu gone. The next day, Hyunwoo returns to his old workplace because he left his picture of Misu there. But it has been bought by Misu's boss. He meets her boss, who tells him that he has the picture of Misu at his apartment, and that Hyunwoo and Misu aren't happy together. So Misu deserves someone better. Hyunwoo admits his dislike for her boss, and asks if he will find Misu if he follows her boss's car. This makes her boss laugh and he drives off with Hyunwoo chasing after him. Misu gets picked up by her boss and sees Hyunwoo running after the car. She asks her boss to stop, and she leaves the car to speak with Hyunwoo. Hyunwoo confesses that he loves her, but Misu only tells him to stop running. Heartbroken, Hyunwoo breaks down into tears as Misu drives away. A few days later, Misu visits Yoonja. Yoonja makes her donuts but tells her that it doesn't taste the same anymore. Misu replies that everything in the world has changed, except the taste of her donuts. They reminisce and Yoonja tells her about the night Hyunwoo visited. She says that Hyunwoo thanked Yoonja for trusting him, even though his grandmother, aunt, and teacher never believed him. Hyunwoo starts his job as the video editor for Yoo Yeol's show, a popular radio show. And Yoo Yeol asks if he has anyone he wants to give a shout-out to. Misu tunes in and hears that Hyunwoo gave a shout-out to her on the show and goes over to the studio. She finds Hyunwoo packing up and smiles at seeing him. Hyunwoo notices her and takes a picture of her as she smiles at him. And with that, we come to the end of our movie. If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you never miss out on the exciting content to come. Hit that notification bell, and let's continue exploring the world together. Thank you for being a part of our incredible community. Your support and engagement inspire us to keep pushing boundaries and creating content that sparks joy, curiosity, and connection.